Who else would like to speak?
Bill Thomas, 838 Dorjean.
Thank you.
Mr. McGraw, I left you a message today, kind of give you a heads up of what I would be discussing tonight. Hopefully you got that message. I'm going to start off by talking about our Union Township Republican Central Committee, which you both trustees, actually all three trustees are a part of. Not last Monday, we had an endorsement, and it was for Union Township Trustee. All three of you participated in that event. The outcome of that election probably wasn't the results you guys were looking for or anticipating, because we endorsed Joe Dills for Union Township Trustee instead of a sitting trustee, which speaks volumes that our own Republican Party here in our own township didn't even endorse our current trustees. That says a lot, speaks volumes. But right after that comes this dark money PAC called United for Union Township, which you start looking into it, you start digging into it. Of course, Mr. Hicks is behind a lot of that, getting the businesses. But Mr. Geis, there are ties to that PAC to you, whether you're actively involved, you're involved. It's taken me a lot to find all your shell companies that you were a part of for years. This packet here is all of those companies, LLCs registered to the state of Ohio. I'm not going to spend the time to go through them all. So I had put a request in today to kind of figure out when did you actually start working for the Union Township, and it was March of 2010, which, if you go and you research all this, all of these LLCs were switched to a gentleman in 2010, which is when you left CUC. So for those that weren't here not last meeting, the meeting before when I spoke, I discussed the fact that Mr. Geis had a position with Union Township, left Union Township to go with CUC, Cincinnati United Contractors, and then came back to Union Township in 2010. When he did that, he transferred all of these LLCs that are CUC Real Estate Services. These were all registered to him. CKDC, CUC, CUC Properties 3, Kubicki Farm Capital, which I'm still trying to figure out what that is. And just so you guys know, Kubicki is the owner of CUC. Kubicki Venture Investments, Charles Kubicki Foundation, nonprofit, United Hotel Builders, Park. I mean, it is dozens of LLCs. And when you start looking these LLCs up, you're like, what are these guys, what are they doing? And I can't find anything that they're doing. So one wonders what all of these LLCs in your name were doing. But what was interesting to me was in 2010, you switched all of these LLCs to a Chance, how you say his last name, Tempura. And Chance, I'm like, okay, that's kind of an odd name. Who is this Chance guy? But all of those LLCs were switched to this Chance. And I'm thinking, okay, that's odd. So I go over here and I'm looking at who this Chance guy is. And this Chance guy actually is your son-in-law, interesting enough, who married your daughter. Stacy Geis and Chance got married on Saturday, October 28th of 2017.
Mr. Thomas, you don't need to bring up personal items.
Well, that's fine. If you want to remove me from the meeting for speaking publicly, please do.
No, I would ask you to refrain from talking about people's personal things.
Unfortunately, you have public participation. I've spoken to Mr. Novak. You cannot restrict me from that.
So I can ask you to use some common sense.
Duly noted.
And not say something.
Well, I don't appreciate the common sense, John. I expect you to use some common sense and employ people in this township that don't have hidden interests and have dozens and dozens of LLCs that the township is doing business with currently, and your signs are sitting at these businesses, which is a conflict of interest in my eyes. That's wrong, and you know it's wrong, John. You talk about integrity and transparency, yet you use these relationships as opportunities to put your campaign signs, and you both have done this, both of you. And
well, I'm not going to discuss the campaign tonight. I think that's inappropriate.
I'm not asking you to, but your signs are in these properties. I mean, I could almost do your sign plant list with this list, because these owners is where your signs exist. If you don't feel that it's a conflict of interest for the township administrator to hand off all these LLCs that are doing business with the township to his son-in-law, that's why you don't need to sit in that seat any longer. because that is wrong. We need to think about what's going on. We also need to think about the fact that Fairfield Township has paid Mr. Geis almost $40,000 a year since 2017. He's full-time to Union Township last time I checked. How's he working for Fairfield Township drawing $40,000 a year? You know what's sad is I didn't even, somebody else sent me this. I didn't even get this. I tried to get this from the township person a couple of months ago, and I never got this, but I guess they pulled this from Checkbook Online, which I learned something new with that and have been researching that. But, you know, we're heading into here a couple of weeks from election. And you guys are out there saying things that are not true, that I've attempted to defund the police, not true. You took pictures of handing out campaign material dishonestly, saying that we're hitting the streets. It was your own house in the picture that the campaign material was handed to. John, I got to be honest. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You use dark money packs, pictures of smoke and mirrors, and when residents pull this kind of information and goes back that, this is all tied together. I am disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I'm also disappointed that you guys have taken an oath to serve on a committee, and you've abandoned that oath by running anti-campaigns against a candidate that you endorsed. And talking bad about a candidate that you endorse. Does an oath mean anything any longer to either of you? Do you mean the oath you took to serve on the Central Committee? Personally, if I were a trustee, I wouldn't serve on Union Township Central Committee. I wouldn't serve. I don't think officials should serve on the Claremont County GOP. I think it's a conflict of interest. I fully believe that. If it were me, I would have resigned when I became a trustee because I wouldn't want to be put in that position to vote on my own endorsement. But when you do these things, it's a reflection of your character and a reflection of your character of office. And I am very disappointed in both of you right now in the way that this whole thing has panned out. And the fact that you would align yourself with a dark money pack. It's unbelievable. It's to my knowledge, you guys may think I'm working for Becker and Dills. I'm not. You think I am, but I'm not. This is me working for me. I'm not working with the Miller Place folks. I talk to them at the meetings. I see them at the forums. But your comments at the last public forum was wrong. Bob, you told them, get over it. Move on. These guys spent over $100,000 in funds to defend themselves, and then you sit up here and make snide comments passing a resolution. I'd be upset too if I were them. You say you transparent and honest. You're promoting yourself as a Christian, and I didn't question your Christianity, Bob, in that meeting. I didn't.
Let's don't go there.
No, I didn't. No, I will go there. It's on camera. I didn't. I said things are happening behind your back or you're not paying attention. But now you are seeing what's happening and you're going along with it.
That's not true.
Well, then stand up.
I had nothing to do with that black thing you're talking about.
Then stand up and denounce it.
I did. I told Mr. Becker asked me about it, and I told Mr. Becker about it. I had nothing to do with it and never knew anything about it.
Well, those
He
people
showed it to me.
are hurting
He's sitting
you,
right back there, and he'll tell you that.
and those people are hurting your name by putting your name on these signs.
I can't help what people do. You know that, Bill. I can't tell Mr. Mancini what to do. I can't tell anybody else what to do. That's not me. And I don't write bad things about people. I've never done that. I've been running elections for years, and I have never ever said a negative word about any of my opponents. Never.
Your running mate has, and that's who I was speaking to about talking bad about opponents. But as far as being a part of this dark money thing, you need to get out of it. You need to get out.
I'm not in it. Don't say I am.
Then you make we're on camera. Everybody now knows you're not part of
I have
it.
had nothing to do with it, and will have nothing to do with it.
We don't need that kind of stuff. These guys, John, I could have created a PAC, an anti-McGraw PAC, but I chose not to. I'm not out there. I invited you both to my last committee meeting. I thought I was extremely fair in the way you were treated. I didn't treat you any different than I treated any other candidate. I may not be voting for you. I may not like you as a trustee, but I will not treat you any different. And I don't think these dark money pacts, we're supposed to be against those, and they're going on. This whole thing has turned into an absolute disgusting mess. And you want to know who's behind it all? Your friend. The friend that you need to separate yourself from. Because that is why Matt is sitting over there. Because he aligned with Hicks. And I don't know what to tell you other than you guys have got to figure this out. Ken, I don't know what kind of guy you are. I really don't. But this just, to me, every time I look into something about you, it's more and more of just where's all this money going? It's going to take me weeks to go through all of these and figure out what all you're doing and your son-in-law. And you think that's funny. I don't think it's funny. It's taxpayer money. My grandmother, who lives in this township, we lived in this township way longer than any of you except Bob. And maybe as far as trustees, we've lived here a long time. My grandmother, 30% tax increase. My grandmother, when my grandfather died, doesn't get his Social Security anymore. She is struggling to afford her bills. 30% tax increase. And you go around and tell people that it's, well, we funded the schools. Those schools didn't get any TIF. They haven't gotten any TIF money up until what, a month or two ago is when you made your first payment? But the TIF schedule was supposed to start in 2019. The taxpayers are funding that school through the inside millage. If you want to, you can shell it all you want, but the taxpayers are paying for West Claremont. And they didn't even offer bus service to the high schoolers. And I'll end with this. I had a meeting with the Milford School Board Administration this morning, and the Director of Curriculum made a statement because in Milford, there's a lot going on. I met with them around social emotional learning and the complications and what it does to the kids and the profiling that it presents. And what Mr. Daniels had said to me was, we wish we could just get to a point where we are not always in defend mode with the public. Do you know how you get there? Through transparency and honesty. This is not transparent and honest. The conflicts of interest need to stop. Well, I'm sure they will because we have an election coming up, but they needed to stop a while ago. I'm very disappointed, and the more and more I dig into this and the more I find out each meeting, and I come here and I talk, and I've lived here a long time, and it's disappointing. And you're letting somebody that didn't even grow up here, that went to McNick and lived in a different county, tell us how to run our county and work with him over there on this stuff. And get somebody in Union Township that knows about the heart of Union Township and what we want for Union Township, and what we're seeing is not what we want. Thank you.
Mr. McGraw, I need to respond to that. That's absolutely ridiculous. Number one, to bring my family into that is totally inappropriate. There's absolutely, positively nothing that I've done that's unethical or illegal. And Mr. Thomas, get your best hold, spend all the time you want. Everything that's been done is legal and ethical as it relates to all of the companies, and not one of those was a sham company, and that is just your ignorance that you don't understand business and you don't understand the operations of large businesses and the process and the reason for separate corporations. So it's totally inappropriate. I listened to it before without saying anything. I generally believe that that's the best way to do it, but you obviously just crossed the line. That's just absolutely ridiculous, but it's certainly indicative of your character and what I've seen to you, because I don't know you, and I really don't want to know you, but I appreciate everything.
Me, so
He has the floor.
I'm absolutely not addressing you.
No?
Thank you.
And I'll reiterate, Ken Geis is the best administrator in the state of Ohio, maybe in the country.
Amen. I'll second.
And if he was gone from Union Township tonight, he'd be hired by tomorrow morning. And no one works harder than he does. He's here 7 days a week often. So you talk about what he's done for Fairfield Township, or wherever it was, has never once interrupted what he's done for Union Township.
How would we know?
Because I'm the one that has to pay attention to it. And all those companies you mentioned, he's not part of any of those companies. So for you to bring that up was totally false.
I said his son-in-law, transfer, that's not false, John.
You said that he's benefiting and profiting from those companies somehow. I believe that you said.
I'd like to rewind the tape and see if I said
Well,
benefiting and
well,
profiting.
it's not a tape, but yes, we can certainly look at it. But you certainly insinuated that.
He's
And
transferred
I
to his
have full
son-in-law.
support of Mr. Geis. He does a hell of a job for our township, and I'm really proud to have him here as part of our staff and our administration. And your comments too about the school was incorrect too. When we made an agreement with the Glen Estee property, there was no schedule. That schedule was created by the school board and their accounting. That was not something we ever agreed to.
That TIF schedule that I brought 2
That's
meetings
correct.
ago?
The TIFs are paid as the properties are built on the property. There was not a timeline for it, other than the length of time for the TIF to run.
But that exists in the Port Authority contract, just so you're aware. That's where I got it from.
So, but we are paying TIF dollars out. We paid over $2.4 million in TIF payments to West Claremont this year alone. So for you to say we're not paying our fair share, or we're not paying what we're supposed to pay is incorrect.
From the treasurer. John,
And
from
that's
the treasurer.
absolutely how the high school's being funded. And in fact, with the properties that are built now on the Glen Estee property and the properties that are coming, that will more than pay for our obligation towards the high school. The rest of the Glen Estee property, which is not even developed yet, will be over and above that amount.
So you're saying that 2019, you weren't supposed to pay any TIF money to West Claremont for the building of the school? Is that what you're saying? Because they didn't receive any funds in 2019?
All our TIF payments are based on the properties and once they're evaluated by the auditor. And the TIF payments then go to the West Claremont.
That wasn't my question. My question was, were you supposed to pay them in 2019 and 2020?
No, not unless there was something developed. It's all based on the development schedule.
I have a copy, I'll send you the copy of the documents in the Port Authority agreement. I'll send it
Thank
to
you. But your constant attacks on Mr. Geis is what's alarming people in the community. I hear it all over the place. And whether or not you're connected with Mr. Dills or Mr. Becker, you say you're not, and that's fine. But people are attaching you to them, and you're putting fear in a lot of people who really have a lot of respect for Mr. Geis and everything the township's doing.
Yeah, they're all in the United for Union Township Pact. They're businesses that want to develop more and more as a part of CUC.
Wait, does he still have a floor?
No, he doesn't.
As long as I'm being addressed, I can rebut.
Thank you.
I'm just rebutting what you just said, so. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
My name's John Lips. I live at 4891 Orland Road. Good evening, Mr. McGee. Good evening, Mr. McGraw.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Taylor, I appreciate everything you've done for the township here. I've used services from both of you, and I appreciate it. Mr. Campbell, thank you for keeping our money straight and on budget. Chief Gavilia, I've used your services very much. I appreciate all the people that work for you. Chief Deimling, I've used your service a couple of times. I've ridden in your nice ambulance a couple of times, and everybody has acted very professional and got me to the hospital when I needed it. I appreciate all of you gentlemen for working for the township. Mr. Geis, 3 of the trustees that are running for office here tonight have sung your praises. One of a private citizen who sits behind me, it was just at this podium, has berated you, besmirched you, said you've lied, said you're dishonest. That's why I came forward. It motivated me to come and talk to you personally as a public citizen. Under no circumstances am I representing any Republican Party, Democrat Party, any club. This is me as a private citizen. I've spoken to a lot of our residents in my area, in my neighborhood. They appreciate everything that has been done to get Union Township to where it is now. Back in the early 2000s, we look at all the empty storefronts, all the stagnant development, just wasn't going on. We appreciate everybody's hard work, from the maintenance to the zoning, to the fiscal people, to the administrator, to the police, and to the firemen. We thank you all. One other thing that I want to say to the gentleman that was just at the podium, none of the candidates in this room had anything to do with that PAC. You're totally false. You don't know what you're talking about. They had nothing.
Maybe you don't know.
No, you don't know. And I have the floor. I didn't interrupt you when you were
Looking at me
taking.
talking, I'm allowed to speak.
Thank you all very much, and we're very proud that you all work for the Union Township. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? Yes, I will. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Ken Hare. My address is 1156 Ivy Farm Way, Amelia, Ohio. What I'm about to say is my observation and mine only. I am flying solo, as I was once told by a superior ranking officer in the military. What are my qualifications to speak tonight? My family and I own property in Union Township and have for 25 years. As the upcoming election, I do not have a vote for Township Trustee. I do not live in the township, but I do own property, along with my family. For 6 years, I was in the Air Force as a police officer, and I served proudly. I have a spot in my heart for police officers and safety services because of that. I've not only served on Pierce Township's safety service levy, I've served the last 2 safety service levies for Union Township as the treasurer. Let me take you back and refresh everybody's memory of what happened in 2009. 2009, we went for a levy. I was at the meeting. I humbly accepted the treasurer's spot. And one of the first things we had to do, because safety service levies are not paid by the township, we had to get money to even start an account for signs, mailings, and whatever. We drew up letters we sent to different businesses and requested donations. We were fortunate enough to get enough donations and enough money to run the campaign. I happened to be going out of town, and we needed to get these letters out. At the time, Lieutenant Caviglia was the representative for the police department, and he said, when I was telling him that, I will get those letters in the mail for you. We provide him the envelopes, the letterhead, the letter, the stamps, everything, and he gathered some spouses of the police department to get that job done. By the time I landed in Florida, I had a text from him saying they're in the mail. Now, let's fast forward to 2020. First, let me go back one thing. That levy lasted 5 to 6 years longer than it was anticipated to last, giving every citizen of Union Township more value for their money. 2020, we had another levy go on the ballot, 11 years later. Let me explain what happened. Something about relationships I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about relationships quite a bit here. At the meeting, we were told we don't have to worry about sending out letters to get money, that Mr. Geis has relationships with a lot of businesses in this area, has respect from them businesses in this area, and was able to fund the Union Township Safety Services Levy, both police and fire, with his relationships with these businesses. Now, last week, I watched the Claremont Chamber have a forum with the 5 people running for trustee. Those 5 people all respectfully respected each other, answered the questions, and it was a respectful forum. Very well done, all 5 of you gentlemen. Now, what's really motivated me to speak tonight? Well, back in July, on a Monday morning, I was watching my grandson, and I happened to turn on the public forum, and it had the July meeting on it. After watching several of these meetings, it really inspired me to speak out. It seems to me some residents, one in particular speaking recently, sees nothing but doom and gloom. It seems he does not see many positives happening in Union Township and only wants to attack members of the board, both past and present, along with the administrator and department heads. It seems he has an agenda with this board and administration. I've even seen the childish Facebook comments directed at the administration and department heads. I have a feeling he doesn't speak for many. Because when he is speaking harm, intimidation, or coerce of someone perceived as vulnerable. Use of force, coercion, hurtful teasing, or threat to abuse, aggressively dominate, or intimidate is the definition of bullying. We teach bullying and what bullying is in grade school. My 1-year-old grandson knows not to bully. There's no place for bullying in township trustee meetings or any other government meeting. The people on this board, the people that are employees of this township, do not deserve to be bullied. I remember the past administration, led by a different administrator, had Union Township in the news in a negative way with corrupt dealings. I've not seen that in recent years, and my guess is if it was happening, the news stations and newspapers in the area would be on top of it and talking about it. That's the kind of news that gets into the paper and on the TV. That's the kind of news that doesn't get swept under the carpet. One of the things mentioned at a past meeting was Mr. Geis worked part-time for another municipality, as happened again tonight, and he was doing this on his own time. To address this, I'd like to state my own opinion of what someone does on their time is their business. I know many firemen with other jobs, as well as police officers who pick up special details for the community on their own time. If we went by this theory that a person cannot do as they wish with their own time away from their full-time position and are only capable of having a full-time position and nothing more, I believe we would have at least 2 trustees in violation of this gentleman's thinking. After all, they are in government part-time positions as well. To be qualified for a trustee, you do not have to be retired, and I guess he would like you to be. I think not. Many people can do more with their skills on their off time. Some may like sports or other ways of spending time. I personally was involved in youth sports for 40-plus years. Labor Day, Saturday, around 2:30, I was dropping off mail in the mailbox at the park and ride across from the administration building. I know most of us were off for a holiday weekend, but as I looked across the parking lot, I noticed Mr. Geis's car. My guess is he's working on his own time, doing what he wants to do, and he chose to do that on his time. Riverside Bank in Milford has a saying on their outdoor sign that reads, "Relationships matter." Relationships take time for anything that we do from the time we are born. I would think that we all work on relationships every day with our family, spouse, children, parents, neighbors, co-workers, and business associates. Relationships are not built on name dropping. Relationships matter. Fire, EMS, police, and communication centers are all nationally accredited here, meaning the citizens have the finest professional protection available. Citizens are also allotted many opportunities to be involved with different programs these departments sponsor. Fire offers child safety belt inspections along with other inspection programs for businesses and homes. I just read recently about a CPR program. The police department offers citizens police academies, women's self-defense, and many other programs, including an outstanding police night out for the citizens of Union Township. Service department takes care of our roads, parks, cemeteries, along with many other things. I believe they're nationally accredited as well. Very few townships and cities across the county have the accreditations, which is a credit to the administration and department heads of Union Township. Here's what I see has happened in the last several years. It has made UT what it has made the community a better place for its citizens. Let's start at the north end and work south. Round Bottom Road. The industry I've seen expand down there, such as Malink, Round Bottom Recycling, On Gold Soccer, Bizac Landscaping, Hamilton Safe, and others, seems to be a really good fit for that land. I believe we have at least 2 corporate headquarters, if not more, in that area. Does anyone here live in Polo Fields or down that area? Let me say this. The railroad crossing down there at River's Edge has opened up a whole new way of life for those residents. Imagine if you worked in the northern suburbs of Cincinnati and had to drive north to 32, then to 275, and then back past where you were to get to your work. And then the return trip's just the same. It wasn't that many years ago that was the case. My guess is the railroad didn't just come to Union Township and say, hey, we want to spend some money for your residents to make it more convenient for them to be able to go over the railroad tracks to businesses. The new firehouse being built on the north end, residents of Union Township, another great enhancement for Union Township with the COVID availability. Eastgate area, we just recently learned Kroger's is looking to invest millions of dollars in Eastgate Mall, area where the Sears store was located. They have smart people working for them, and they would not be making that kind of commitment if it were not good for them or the people of Union Township, which are their customers. I expect this to be a good start for great things to come in that area. State Route 74 improvements being done to help traffic. The new retail facilities, hotel and other facilities in the Meyer area. All companies investing in Union Township. Before we cross 32, let me remind you, prior to the road highway improvements, traffic was a problem at 32 and 75 getting on and off the highway. I'm sure both police and fire would agree. The flyover makes it much more convenient going east on 32. Jungle Gyms area. Look at the improvements that have happened in that area. The buildings have been updated along with a new variety of retail, restaurants, a church, a theater, and more to come. Let's just look across the street from Jungle Gyms. Once again, new retail with new upgrades to buildings. Not too long ago, many of them storefronts were vacant. Mount Carmel, there's new development happening there as well. One of the nicer things that has happened is the Eichholz connector. It has helped take traffic off of 32. It has made it easier for employees to get to TQL, Mercy Health, Fairfax Credit Union, and other facilities in the Ivy Points area. That used to be a field not too long ago. Does everyone realize we have 3 corporate headquarters within a half mile of each other in that area? TQL, Senco, Fairfax Credit Union. East 32, I've noticed Holman's and Jeff Lauer have spent money to expand and upgrade their facilities. A new sports facility opened in the area as well. I cannot imagine them spending the money they did if Union Township community would not support them and they did not see this area as a good fit for them. The new Klepper connector between Glen Estee, Withensville, and Buxton once again gets traffic off of 32. I've read other improvements are scheduled in that area by the state, and I'm sure that those will come along as well. Clough Pike street improvements have helped traffic on that street. State Route 125. There have been many improvements along this quarter of Union Township as well. We have new restaurants. We have Mark Williams Ford. He's enlarged and updated his facility, as well as other businesses along 125. Senior housing. Recently, we've had new additions to the area. The Glen, Otterbein, Sienna Gardens, Provision, which a couple months ago, trustees agreed to let them expand more on the Glen Estee High School property. These complement the existing facilities that we already have here in the township, which we have several others. Upscale housing. In recent years, we have seen new housing expand in our area. Weatherby Farms used to be a farm, along with several other housing and condo projects being built. Apartments, we have seen upscale projects such as Avalon at the Point, Echelon, Gentry East, and others along the new improved Clough Pike. Union Township seems to be a magnet when it comes to business and residents wanting to be here. Education. West Claremont High School. What an addition to the Union Township. My guess is this would not have happened without relationships between past and current trustees and administration of both Union Township and the West Claremont Board of Education. I'm sure this relationship probably started back when West Claremont School District moved into the administration building many years ago. Child Focus would not have the facility it has if the new school had not happened. Parks. We have parks and recreation available for the citizens of Union Townships for many types of activities, including the new pickleball courts. I believe what I have just presented is all the positive things that have happened in Union Township, and I'm sure there's many more. And none of this could have happened without relationships between the past and current trustees, the administration of Union Township, the department heads, and all other businesses and organizations involved, including the leadership of past and current county commissioners and other elected officials and department heads in Claremont County, along with the state of Ohio and all that they have been involved in with this progress. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guerra.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? Please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Okay, if I can waddle down there. My name is Frank Weiss, 4532 Summerside Road, and I still want to say Eichels because I grew up, it was Eichels Road. And first of all, I don't have anything planned to say a whole lot, just this is off the cuff. This is my very first meeting that I've ever attended here, and very interesting. So, I want to thank you all for your service, for what you do. It's a lot of work. And when you have many voices all coming in at the same time, it's like, you know, but you do a good job. My first thing I want to say is to the fire department, to the police department, thank you so very much for what you do and for your service to all of us individually and as a township. You guys are awesome, and I'm proud of you. I have used the ambulance myself a couple times. My wife, before she passed and went to heaven, many times, and then my dad, his final ride over to Anderson. He was a 30-year Navy veteran, Chief Petty Officer, aircraft mechanic, World War II out in Maui. But I won't go into all that. My family's been here for a long time, since 1917. My grandfather moved from Price Hill over here, raised chickens. We had the 3.5 acres. There's a tail waggers right below us. We own land down that far. At one time through the years, it's been sold off. And but he raised chickens, he painted, and as he painted, he would sell eggs to his customers. So we go back a long ways. And as we watch America right now, it's going through a tremendous change, awesome change. We're fighting for our very lives as a free nation. And government is needed for a country to be formed and to run. And I have a saying, politics destroys a nation, and we're seeing that at Washington, D.C., everything that's happening. Don't let those politics roll down into Union Township. Stay out of politics. I know it's there. You know, I'm not ignorant of that, but keep it low. Love the people. That's what Washington, D.C.'s forgot. They forgot the people. They're only concerned about themselves, their pocketbooks, and how they can prosper. And a lot of them are selling the country out right from under us. Don't let that happen here in Union Township. Love your neighbors. Love your neighbors. They count. The people count. And so I just want you to know that I love you guys. I don't know any of you personally other than Mr. McGee. I think I've met you. You worked with Carol Ann at Eastgate Retirement Village, I believe. You used to, maybe not, did you used to have some Wednesday evening services for people?
No, that's not me.
Not you? Okay, well, I thought, maybe you should. Huh?
Thank you for the
But anyhow, so thank you for what you do. I'm proud of you. Like I said, I don't know you, but I trust you. I do keep an eye open, but I do trust you. And keep up the good work.
All right.
Put Union Township first, put its people first. And if you do that, everything will work out beautiful for you, as you'd like to have it done. So with that, I'll let you go and let you go home and get something to eat.
All right,
So,
Thank you very much.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Mark Bachman, 2274 Berrywood. I'm here because I just retired about 2 weeks ago from a family organization that my father started 66 years ago. I worked there 52 years. We brought our business out here to Union Township in 1997. I've been blessed with the people up here on the counter that have just done an unbelievable job for us. I can't thank them enough. We certainly don't need the kind of garbage we're hearing tonight, and especially innuendo and crap that is not true. It's flat out lies, and that needs to stop. If it doesn't stop, we're going to be just like everybody else around here. We need to correct it, and we need to correct it now. We can't let somebody come in and bully and push and nail people for something they've not done. I can't thank you guys enough, from Corey to Matt. You guys are terrific. You've done a terrific job for me. Mr. Campbell, I don't know you as well. I do know that you do a hell of a job for Union Township, and I appreciate it. Mr. McGee, we've had a lot of talks.
Yes, sir.
I've been on service committees with you. I know where your heart is. Your heart is for Union Township, completely and absolutely. And I'm behind you 100%.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. McGraw, same with you. Everything I see on your websites, everything talks about how well we're doing in Union Township. That's what we need. We don't need the garbage that's going around right now. I'll talk to these three men over here. I got to smile because Stan, for example, we had a problem at our office a couple of years back. We had a little fire. Stan came over and I had been giving him a little trouble about helicopters in this area and how a helicopter pad was needed somewhere in Union Township, just giving him garbage. Unfortunately, I was out of town. Stan actually came over with the fire department, took care of everything for me, and I came back and my entire office was decorated with little helicopter things everywhere throughout the office. I was finding for months. Stan and his people took care of my mom before she passed away. She had to get a couple of runs to the hospital. They were absolute professionals with integrity, dignity for a lady with Alzheimer's, and can't thank you enough. Scott, what can I say? I've known you when you were almost my size, so you've done a fantastic job for us also. Your people, I got their back no matter what time it is or anywhere. You guys are terrific. When my mom was living alone, right before we had to put her in a home, you would see a police car coming around that neighborhood all the time. And she believed that car was just for her. And it meant an awful lot to her that I'd come over there, and even though she couldn't remember everything very well, she'd look at me and she'd say, "A policeman came by just to say hi." That meant a lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. There were a lot of people in that area with Alzheimer's, and you guys went out of your way to take care of that. I appreciate it. I don't know how to thank you enough. And you, Mr. Geis, you're a better man than I. I wouldn't take this crap that people are throwing at me. With your abilities and your knowledge and your capabilities, I don't know why you put up with it. I wouldn't. You can go anywhere, as was stated earlier, anywhere, and I bet in this country, and get 50 times what you're getting here for the crap you're putting up with. I mean, just give you an example. Claremont County has 7 or 8 people in economic development for what little they do. Yet, Union Township, how many people do we have in economic development? None. 0. Look what happens in Union Township. Look what gets done. As a businessman in Union Township, I am super proud of what goes on here. Integrity, honesty, that's his middle name.
Amen.
He'd take a bullet more than he would go ahead and lie to anybody. And anybody that would come in here and say anything different about him than that is going to have me to deal with. Because now I'm retired, I don't represent anybody but Mark Bachman, little short, fat, bald guy with 2 grandkids. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to stand here and take it anymore. That's enough. You people put up enough for the little bit that you get. And we got everybody else running in this community for trustee. It must be a wonderful job. You guys must be standing in line wanting your job. Why? I have no idea. And I guarantee you, if you lose him, you've lost Union Township. And from a business standpoint, you'll start losing a lot of big businesses. Believe me, it'll happen. And you don't want that blight here. It was here before. And if you can't remember, think about Mr. Walker. People like that. Think of what it was like before he came back. All I can do is, from my heart, Mr. Geis, thank you for everything you've done for me, my family, and my company, all the way across the board. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bachman.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? There's someone else before you.
Yep, go ahead.
Is it this one?
Either microphone.
Okay. I probably don't need it, but my name is Jim Rudy, 4525 New Market Court. I'm here representing the West Claremont School Board. I'm vice president. And we just want to thank Union Township for your partnership, and all the great things you've done for us. And we look forward to continuing that relationship. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
So I will address the board one last time because we've had several residents address me personally in my comments. We've watched Hicks Watchdog bully, trash people, sue our commissioners in this township, and yet nobody comes to this meeting and talks about the bullying that goes on Hicks Watchdog. But the minute we come in here and we talk about things that are written on my site, that's now considered bullying. It's considered immature. It's very disingenuous statements. But I expect that. Mr. Bachman is part of the United for Union Township PAC, working with Mr. Hicks, who bullies people. Mr. Bachman also has received quite a bit of money from Union Township, being the primary heating and cooling company for Union Township for many years. So I would expect him to come up and thank you, Mr. Geis, because you've given him a ton of business doing all the heating and cooling business. So I expect that. This is a pretty sad display that was having these folks come up and kind of promote everything, because I think enough residents know what the truth is. If they didn't, I don't think they would have brought Mr. Logan, who had really no background, just moved to the township, a new guy, and comes and beats an incumbent who's been affiliated with this township for years. Mr. Beamer has been a pillar of the community for a very long time, and he got removed. He got dethroned. I think that speaks volumes, and I think it speaks volumes that our own committee did not endorse a sitting trustee. So when these guys are saying that the community's out there saying things different, and Mr. McGraw, you say, Mr. Thomas, I'm hearing different people, are tired of you bashing us and all that. I don't think that's true. I think these are disingenuous statements, because I think people are going to speak out in this next election. And I've heard a rumor, Mr. Geis, that you'll quit. And I don't think we're going to be sad for that. You think you can get a job anywhere else, that's great. You don't know who I am. You don't know what companies I've worked for, but I've worked for very large companies, and I do know business, and that's why I am in situation at a very young age, and I am financially, because I do understand business. But I also understand that profiting in the manner in which it looks to be from CUC off Union Township, again, I've asked you come and tell us. You be transparent. I'll be happy to stop digging into things. You sit down and you pick a date and time. I'll sit down with you. You tell me everything going on, and I will stop looking into it. I'm not interested in your daughter. I'm not interested in your son-in-law, except for the link that it has to Union Township, which is appropriate for me to research. He took your position with CUC, and Union Township does most of the construction business with CUC. There's all this development and all this land transitioning. I mean, look around. You're going to tell me that's not a conflict of interest? I think it is. If our county auditor gets put under fire all day long and bullied on a regular basis from the guy that back here saying bullying is wrong, Linda Fraley gets bullied constantly for nepotism. But all of a sudden, this isn't nepotism. How is it not nepotism?
Mr. Bachman?
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Okay.
Again, we're right back to where we were before. You have attacked a 66-year-old organization my father started. You want to attack my company, you come at me. I'm sitting right back over there. Yes, it is. You're right, it's not anymore, but in my heart it sure is. Just like Union Township is my township. In my heart. You can shut up for a minute.
Mr. McGraw, we're allowed to talk to residents?
Am I up here or you?
He has the floor, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you very much.
He has the floor, please.
I'm telling residents to shut up.
Well, thank you for bullying me off this stand here. I appreciate it. That just shows what's going on. If you would like to know anything about Bachman's Incorporated when I was running it, any invoice, anything else, I'll be glad to go through it with any person in this room, any person in this township. It was above board, totally, completely. That's the only way I was taught. I was taught by a gentleman that flew airplanes off of carriers in World War II and fought for this country. And I was brought up with those kind of rules and regulations in my house. You don't cheat. On his deathbed, he told me, hey, it's your company now, son. And guess what? You only have to work half a day. And it doesn't matter which 12 hours. That's the kind of bringing up I had. My company, was and still is an honest organization. I was there 52 years, and I can go ahead and tell you, for anybody that works there, if they ever did anything that was illegal, immoral, or anything else, they'd be gone in a heartbeat. Because that's how I was raised. And that's how things should be. And bringing family into this, it's just 100% wrong. And it's Linda Fraley, come on, are we going to use that as our barometer? My gosh. I think two of her family members have gone ahead and given $10,000 each to one of the people running for trustees here. Come on. Quit this stuff. Just go ahead and run on what you're good at and what you're not good at. What's wrong with that? Let's just do it the right way. You got two quality people here who have to put up with this garbage every night. And I apologize for that. I'll shut up and sit back down, but thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Hare?
I'd just like to address a couple things. First of all, when a business or a person finds something, let's say a bank, let's say they're a barber, let's say they're an electrician, landscaper, builder, or anything else that they find through due diligence and it's a workable situation, do they keep looking for other people to take that person's position? Or do they keep using the same people that works for them and has a relationship? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
So now we're allowed to cuss at our residents.
Are there anyone else who would like to speak tonight?
Class act.
Okay, seeing that there's no one else, we'll end the public discussion. Thank you, everyone, for their time. At this time, Mr. McGee, we're being asked to enter into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G, as follows. Number one, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair, competitive, or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G, Section 2. Also, number two, to consider the confidential information related to a specific business strategy of an applicant for economic development assistance pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G8. Is there a motion to go into executive session for these reasons?
So moved, sir.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
We're into executive session at 9 p.m.
Thank you, everyone who's attended tonight. If you wish to stay around, we'll be back after our executive session.